Coming up, Shane Bieber and Adley Rutschman help their teams win. This is Locked On Game-to-Game MLB.
Every game, every team, every angle. Locked On Game-to-Game, your team every day.
Welcome in, everybody. You are watching Locked On Game-to-Game MLB, local experts with the biggest stories in baseball. I'm your host, Daniella Bruce, and thank you for making Locked On your first listen every weekday. Shane Bieber struck out 9 Tigers on the way to a Guardians shutout of Detroit. Our Locked On Guardians host has more after that Cleveland win.
Well, it appears the Guardians have found a formula to victory. Pitch shutouts and have Amed Rosario get 4 hits. That's the only way they can win these days. But we're not here to complain. The Guardians did win 2-0. Their pitching once again holds up. They scored first for the second straight day in a row, but for the second straight day in a row, they didn't have a lot of runs, but they had just enough today. Shane Bieber maybe his best outing of the season, maybe the second best behind that Boston start, but 9 strikeouts. Maybe he has finally found his breaking stuff that he really hasn't had for the better part of a year, even though he's pitched pretty well. And hey, the Guardians stole a base. If you are an everydayer on Locked On Guardians, you know Jeff and I have been preaching stealing bases once again for this team, something they used to be really good at, and they stopped doing the last few weeks. They stole a base, and it really turned out to be important as they wrapped up a victory over the Tigers. They will not get swept in the series as they have a left-hander facing them on Wednesday. Stay tuned to Locked On Guardians for more.
Young star Adley Rutschman hit a 2-run home run to help the Baltimore Orioles take down the MLB best Tampa Bay Rays on Tuesday. Locked On Orioles recaps a Baltimore victory.
The Orioles just played the team with the best record in baseball, and they beat the team with the best record in baseball. Orioles 4 and Rays 2, the final score from Camden Yards on Tuesday night. And the story of the day was Grayson Rodriguez, the rookie for the O's. His longest career start goes 5 2/3. The strikeouts weren't necessarily there, but the stuff was. The curveball, changeup, fastball all looked great. He was sitting 98 throughout the day, and he gave the Orioles a little bit of length that they needed from the starters. They got just enough offense with Adley Rutschman breaking his slump with a 2-run homer, and it's a win over the Rays. You'll take that every single day. And the kids really shined when Adley and Grayson do it for the O's. That's when it's the most fun. And now they go for a series win. Not many teams have done that against the Rays this year. But I'll recap the win coming up on Wednesday's episode of the Locked On Orioles podcast.
The Rockies dominated the Pirates on Tuesday to hand Pittsburgh its 8th loss in the last 9 games. Our Locked On Rockies host has more after a win for Colorado against the collapsing NL Central leaders.
Rock on Rockies fans, Paul Holden here from the Locked On Rockies podcast. Now 2 series in a row. The Rockies are blanked in game 1, and then they come out swinging in the next game. The Colorado Rockies get a revenge game against the Pittsburgh Pirates in this one, thumping the Pirates 10-1. A massive 4-run 4th inning, capped off with a 5-run 7th inning. 11 hits for the Rockies. Everyone was getting in on the action. Everyone in the starting lineup got a hit tonight for the Colorado Rockies. Except for Ezekiel Tovar, but multiple home runs for Jurickson Profar. He's jumping on first pitch home runs. Connor Siebold gets his first career win. All good things for the Rockies. The strong stretch continues. Good starting pitching, good bullpen pitching, and clutch offense tonight. Now, can they steal another series, get another series win on the road? That would be impressive for the Rockies. Let's hope it happens. We'll break it all down on Locked On Rockies.
Coming up, the Reds fend off the Mets in the late innings. This is Locked On Game-to-Game MLB. Sorare is a revolutionary fantasy baseball game and marketplace transforming fans into owners with officially licensed digital cards featuring players from across all 30 major league teams. Unlike other fantasy baseball platforms, Sorare managers truly own their fantasy experience, collecting, buying, selling, and competing with player cards against global opponents to win epic rewards. Win or lose, you still own your cards, and there's no cost to play. Plus, the more you win, the more you advance, collecting increasingly powerful cards and accessing next level competitions and rewards. MLB game weeks happen twice weekly and span 3 to 4 days, Monday through Thursday and Friday through Sunday. Game weeks start 10 minutes before the first game in those windows. Head to sorare.com/lockedon. That's spelled SORARE.com to draft your team of free player cards, set your lineup, and start competing today with epic rewards. Again, that is sorare.com/lockedon. Welcome back to Locked On Game to Game. I'm your host, Daniella Bruce, and thank you for making Locked On your first listen every weekday. Reds closer Alexis Diaz shut out a late comeback attempt for the Mets to hand New York its 12th loss in the last 15 games. Locked On host with both squads recap the battle of fourth-place teams in their divisions.
The New York Mets almost made an epic comeback on Tuesday night, but came up just a bit short. And once again, we have the starting pitching to blame for being in that hole in the first place. This is Ryan Finkelstein, the host of Locked On Mets. And what we saw was David Peterson come up because Max Scherzer was scratched due to neck spasms, and Peterson proved why he was in AAA. Just another bad start, gives up 4, doesn't make it out of the 4th inning. The Mets battle to get back in it. Francisco Alvarez, a couple of home runs. We're going to be discussing him a bunch on tomorrow's show. Pete Alonso, Francisco Lindor, they leave the yard, but a double play with the bases loaded from Mark Canha really hurt the Mets. They had other opportunities. They just came up short. We'll be going through all of it on the show, but I got to give the Mets credit for showing a lot of fight, and hopefully that's a sign for more positive things to come, and maybe with Justin Verlander on the mound, the Mets will start to get some good starting pitching on Wednesday.
The New York Mets spent $450 million to set up their team for 2023, and the Cincinnati Reds are undefeated against that team. What's up? This is Jeff Carr from the Locked On Reds podcast, and the Reds won 7-6 on Tuesday night against the Mets. Beautiful start for Luke Weaver. He pitched into the 7th inning, had to be pulled after giving up a home run and another base runner following that, but great. The best start that he's had in a Reds uniform, and Alexis Diaz absolutely shut the door, stranded 2 runners on base in the 8th inning, and then made short work of the 9th. That's why he's elite. Plus, TJ Friedl, the Cincinnati Reds Twitter account, started the movement. Let's keep it going. TJ Friedl to the All-Star game. You heard me right. Friedl is an All-Star, or he should be.
The Phillies picked up a win at home against the Blue Jays last night, and our Locked On local experts with both teams have the recap.
The Phillies take game 1 against the Toronto Blue Jays. Connor Thomas, your host of Locked On Phillies. Nick Castellanos has been great this year. This is why you paid this guy. This is why he was an all-star back in 2021. And man, the Phillies are finally seeing the fruits of their labor on that contract. He had a great game tonight. The Phillies had a great game in general. Aaron Nola, a much better start than what he's given you at points this year. And honestly, this team, when the starting pitching is good, is one of the best in baseball. I know that's crazy to say for a team that's now 2 games under 500, but starting pitching has been their Achilles heel. If you get a good start, the Philadelphia Phillies are going to be a problem. And they're starting to, you can kind of feel the trends of a team, right? This team is starting to figure it out. They take an 8-4 victory over the Blue Jays. That's a really good team you just beat. You have a chance to go for the short 2-game sweep tomorrow, but love to see it. Wheels, carry it tomorrow. We'll talk more on the next episode of Locked On Phillies.
Hello, friends. Craig Ballard, Locked On Blue Jays. Blue Jays get thumped in game 1 of this mini 2-game set at Philadelphia. Pretty sloppy game all around. Not great pitching, not a lot of clutch hitting. John Schneider was, again, really bad in this game. Ultimately, if the Blue Jays win tomorrow, that will be 22 wins, and we've talked a lot on the Locked On Blue Jay podcast about the schedule early on, 25 of those first 37 games being on the road. If the Blue Jays do win tomorrow, it'll be a 4-5 road trip. That's not bad, especially considering it started 0-4 in Boston, right? I would actually take that. It would also put the Blue Jays over 500 in those first 25 games, first 25 road games, and in that gauntlet of the 25 road games in the first 37 games, it would put the Blue Jays with 22 wins. 22-15. I'm big picture wise, I'm absolutely going to take that.
The Yankees gave up 3 home runs to Jordan Diaz last night, but still managed to beat the A's as Aaron Judge returned to the New York lineup. Locked On Yankees has more after a win in the Bronx.
This is Stacey Gotsoulias of Locked On Yankees, and the Yankees beat the A's 10-5 at the stadium. And I know you're thinking to yourself, wow, 10 runs, that's a lot for the Yankees. And yes, this is 3 games in a row that they've scored at least 7 runs. Good job. And they've won 2 out of 3 of those games. So also good job. But the story for me, Clark Schmitt, 6 innings. The first time all season he's pitched 6 innings. So he gave up 2 runs on 5 hits with 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. Now, the other big thing is combined with his last outing, he's now pitched 10 1/3 innings. He's given up 4 runs, 2 earned, 4 walks, 11 strikeouts. Oh, and 11 hits. But he's improving. So that's the big story for me. Clark Schmitt making it 6 innings. Now, it could be because it's the A's, but hey, they're a major league team no matter how bad they are. So we'll have everything you need to know about this game on the next Locked On Yankees. And we're talking about the bullpen again because it's been a strange season for the bullpen and we have a lot to discuss.
The Cardinals beat the Cubs in the 9th inning to send Chicago to its 3rd straight loss. Locked On Cardinals recaps as St. Louis takes advantage of a struggling Chicago team.
Well, 3 in a row. I believe they call that a winning streak, boys and girls. Hey, it's JD from Locked On Cardinals, and the Cardinals take down the Cubs again tonight, this time by the score of 6-4. And who was it with the big fly in the 9th inning to take the lead? Reigning NL MVP Paul Goldschmidt? Nope. 5-time Silver Slugger Nolan Arenado? Negative. How about the guy that most of us wanted to leave for dead at AAA this year? Paul DeJong. Smashes a cutter up in the zone deep into the Chicago night. His 3rd dinger of the season. The guy's hitting .350 since being called back up after the injury that he suffered in spring training. The laughingstock of Major League Baseball just this past weekend has now won 3 straight times for the first time this year. How quickly things can change. For the latest updates and info, be sure to keep it Locked On Cardinals.
I swear this is a new video. It's not the same video as the last 9 other nights, but the Cubs lost another close game today, 4-4 headed into the 9th. Javier Assad inexplicably goes out for a 6th inning of work after 5 tremendous ones, but the game was tied. It was a high leverage situation. Cubs didn't use any of their relievers. Paul DeJong, the big home run. Andrew Kisner, I think, was the one who added another run late. Cubs lost 6-4. Eric Hosmer left 6 men on base as he continues to play, not only play, but hit in the middle of the order. He left the bases loaded twice. The Cubs have been mismanaged so far this season. There's no more time beating around the bush. When you're 17-19 and 3rd in the National League in run differential, that's a problem. You're being mismanaged, and they have to figure it out.
Coming up, the Astros beat Shohei Ohtani and the Angels. This is Locked On Game to Game MLB. Welcome back to Locked On Game to Game MLB. I'm your host, Daniella Bruce, and thank you for making Locked On your first listen every weekday. The Padres won an interleague battle behind the bat of Manny Machado. Locked On Padres and Twins have more after the final in Minnesota.
You always gotta love a bounce back. What's going on, guys? Javier Reyes here, the Locked On Padres podcast. As always, Spider-Man behind me. Padres bounce back after getting a day off on Monday. First game against this Twins, in my opinion, very capable Twins team. 6-1 victory for the Padres. Nice bounce back start for Michael Wacha. He's going to have his bad ones. He's going to have some bad ones after this, but a really nice bounce back start. Again, against a very commendable team. Good offensive stuff, too. I am out of breath for some reason. I don't know why. But good offensive stuff and a big home run at the end of the game for Manny Machado to put the Padres up 6-1 and kind of put the game out of reach. First pitch home run, that's been a thing for him this year. Hasn't made the best of contact on first pitches as much as he had been the past 2 years. So really nice to see that. It was a bomb. And nice to see two Soto doubles as well. Really good stuff all the way around. So hopefully keep the momentum going tomorrow. And until that tomorrow and whatnot, everybody remember to stay faithful.
This is your Locked On Twins breathless post-game minute, and I promise you it's not a rerun. The Twins again do nothing offensively, score 1 run off Michael Wacha and friends, and lose 6-1 at Target Field. If you want to get a feel for how bad this offense is right now, Rocco used back-to-back pinch hitters late. They're hitting 190 and 155 respectively. So that gives you a pretty good feel for where this offense is right now. Just 2 extra base hits on the night. And one of them was a double in the 9th inning that not only didn't score, but came when the team was down 5 runs. There's just so many aspects of things going wrong with this team right now that you can't really put your finger on one of them. The top 4 in the order go 0 for 14. They did walk 4 times, but that's not enough. Catch us tomorrow. We'll break down Seth Lugo versus Pablo Lopez. This is Locked On Twins.
The Angels hadn't lost on the day of a Shohei Ohtani start since opening day before last night against the Astros. After the defending champions picked up the win, our Locked On experts have the recap.
Locked On Astros here in the Astros. Get Ohtani in Anaheim. That's right. Shohei Ohtani hits the mound, and you expect stellar things out of him. He did have 7 strikeouts over 7 innings pitched. gave up 6 hits. But Framber Valdez was the man of the hour. 8 innings pitched, only 3 hits, 1 earned run, and 12 strikeouts. Second most in his career in a start. And Martin Maldonado came in 1 for 4 at the plate with a home run, big 2 RBI hit. And you had another contribution with runners in scoring position from none other than Yordan Alvarez. Dubon went out with an apparent injury. Bregman got 2 more hits. He's starting to heat up. There's a setback with Brantley. We're going to talk about this on the next Locked On Astros. Make sure you tune into us and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Be coming every day. Remember, we are your team every day. Go Stros.
Angels hitting coach Marcus Timms said at the beginning of the year that the Halos' approach at the plate would be that they would swing at pitches in the zone and let the pitches outside of the zone alone. But apparently they forgot about that philosophy on Tuesday night. Hey everybody, it's Mike Frisch, one half of Locked On Angels. The Halos lose 3-1 against the Astros on Tuesday. And man, the Angels just swung at everything outside of the zone and watched everything in the zone. Now, Framber Valdez had an incredible game and Houston pitching struck out 13 Angel hitters, but it just seemed like our guys were not ready for what Houston was going to bring. They swung at a lot of junk and they let a lot of fastballs go right by. The only highlight on the offensive side was Zach Neto's first career home run. Congratulations to him. And pitching, Shohei Ohtani was on the mound. He looked good, went 7 innings, had 7 strikeouts, but unfortunately the Angels couldn't back him up with any sort of offense. Johnny and I are going to recap this game on Locked On Angels. We hope you'll join us.
Casey Schmitt hit a home run in his major league debut for the San Francisco Giants, and our Locked On Giants host looks at the win and the exciting start for Schmitt.
Giants fans have been waiting a long time for a stud position player prospect to show up on the shores of McCovey Cove and make an impact. It's been forever, and tonight, who knows, maybe we saw the start of that. Casey Schmitt making his major league debut. In his second at-bat, he hit a booming home run to left center field, added a single later on in the game, got 1 ground ball. Ball kind of rolled out of his hand, and he made the play anyway. It was a little bit of a weird play, but he made the play. And so this is the first position player drafted by this new front office to make the major leagues, and they think very highly of him. We didn't really get to see the great defense on display tonight. Like I said, only the 1 ground ball, but the homer and the single and a win for the Giants. Logan Webb pitched in and out of traffic all night long. Camilo Doval shut it down in the 9th. So we'll break all of this down tomorrow on Locked On Giants, where it's your team every day.
That's going to do it for this edition of Locked On Game to Game MLB. Thank you so much for making Locked On your first listen every single weekday. Make sure you subscribe to Locked On MLB and your team's Locked On podcast on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Daniella Bruce, and this has been Locked On Game to Game.